Okay, Charlotte has learned a new word, toyon, which is the red berries that are called Hollywood, was named actually for this plant. Another story. Dakota, the nursery dog, is here with us. TJ, the nursery dog, is here with us. Kevin, the master of all things nursery, is behind the camera. And we're here at Redwood Camp, where the workshops have always been held, weather permitting, and where we experience such great healing and such connection with nature on an ongoing basis. Welcome to Redwood Camp. Welcome to 2020 workshop, do-it-yourself wreath making at Tree of Life Nursery. What we have is an instructional video coming up, but let me just mention what you will receive if you sign up for the do-it-yourself kit at Tree of Life Nursery to make your own wreath at home. You would come to our nursery and you will pick up a box which will have the base wreath, which is made from a native grape plant, and you will receive in the box all the greens necessary, the evergreen plants, which are cypress and pine and incense cedar, 3 or 4 different types of cypress, and some California bay, and a few enough accents, white sage and toyon berries, and a few pine cones for you to make your wreath. What you will not get is the creativity and the skill which you provide at home, and you'll have to provide your own floral string, which comes in a roll, and you can cut it into the lengths necessary for your own wreath. Debbie and Hilda will go into details on whether you make a half a wreath or a full wreath and the technique involved, but I just wanted to mention this is the idea that on the specified date, you can come and pick up your kit and then follow the instructions of this video to have your own wreath at home. All right, so we got the dogs, we've got everybody here, happy as could be. Debbie has been part of these instructional videos for 15 plus years, though she no longer works here at Tree of Life Nursery. She and her husband Bobby live in San Diego with Charlotte and the baby to come. Bobby's on his way here, and we'll welcome him when he arrives. So Charlotte's going to be the youngest student today, and I'd like to present my wife Hilda, my daughter Debbie, and granddaughter Charlotte one more time in order to simply say, let's get started with how to make a wreath Hilda style at Tree of Life Nursery, Christmas 2020.
So now you can see how she collects her materials.
Ya, es muy bueno cortar así los pedacitos.
So Hilda is suggesting that you cut down larger pieces into, I'd say this is about 5 inches long, maybe 4 to 5, because they're easier to work with when they are smaller. So if you have larger pieces in your in what you're given, you might want to pre-cut some of the pieces. But personally, when I do this, I cut a little later in the process because I'm not as expert. So that might be a hot tip for a beginner, because then you can't reattach it.
Okay. Pretend que es, you're making a corsage.
So you pretend you're making a corsage or a beautiful bouquet. Make sure that it looks attractive the way that you would like it to look. She wants to walk or hammock, so.
Sorry.
So you make it look like a beautiful bouquet or a corsage. So you arrange it in your hand first. That's one of the big tricks of making sure the rest of your wreath continues to look attractive.
After I put it in together, and the wreath and anillo, yo no sé cómo se dice.
So you place it on the wreath ring.
Oh, okay.
And hold it tight. And I would suggest if you're doing this, when you're doing this at home, to pre-cut all your string pre-cut at least 20 so that that step isn't holding you up. So she wrapped it around once and then twice, and then
Extra tight.
secured it tightly,
Very tight.
very tight.
Right now, see you move and no falling.
So try to make it as secure as possible.
Ok, bueno, ya empezamos la corona. Seguimos haciendo los Corsage y los ponemos en el anillo hasta llenarla. O si quiere una... Ay, se me olvidó la media.
Okay, so we started the wreath. We placed the first corsage or bouquet on the ring, and tie it on tightly as you can. And then we're going to continue making corsage bouquets and place them on the wreath ring and continue to go around. You can also choose to only do a half wreath where you have some of the grapevine showing, which is very attractive as well. And to do that, you just would have to turn the last corsage.
Okay.
So let's place another one. Okay, so as you can see, she's arranging her hand bouquet, and now she's going to place it on the ring wreath, because I'd like you to see how she gets that done, because that part can be a little tricky. And also, have grace for yourself, and the more you do it, the better it gets. So just keep trying. Okay.
Okay, again.
So she's made her hand arrangement. She likes to fix it in her hand. She knows how she wants to get it on there. I do also notice that she wraps her fingers around it and kind of gets the material all around the wreath ring.
No tiene que ser lo que yo estoy enseñando, lo van a hacer a su gusto, como es.
And she wants to make sure that you don't have to copy her versions of everything. You should feel poetic license and freedom to use your artistic capabilities. Now here's the tricky part. She wrapped it around once.
Yes. Okay.
And I think she does a double. So I'm going to see if that theory is correct. So she wrapped it around and then came back around the front and now is tying it in the front. Now, as far as if you're worried about your string or your wire showing through, don't worry about it. Just wait until the end to worry about that part, because you can trim it down.
Lo pueden amarrar en atrás o enfrente, como se les hace mejor.
So whatever ends up working out best for your hands and your style, you can tie in the front or you can tie in the back. And she is choosing to tie in the front.
Okay.
Now, I want you to notice a few things, that there are now 2 corsages on there, but they are fairly bunched together. So you don't want them spaced apart to a point where they get loose. So you will be placing the next corsage is fairly high and close to the first one that you place.
Ya me revolvieron todo aquí.
Okay. So maybe tienes otro pensamiento?
No, bueno, sí. No sé si, yo tengo un poco de esta flor, pero no sé si tu papá va a querer que lo dé o qué. Es ok. Esto es porque es para la familia.
Okay.
No, ya no hay otra cosa
So
para
I
decir.
asked her if there's anything else she wanted to share about working with the wreath. And as you can see, she just added another small corsage of material. So also remember, you don't have to have every one be the same size. So you can use a larger bunch, and then fill it in with like just greens and not, these are what we like to call accents. So like the flowers and the berries, and these flowers are more of an accent. Your whole wreath is not made up of that, but the greens are really your foundation. And so you want to keep making sure that you place many greens throughout. like I said before, kind of the bouquet idea is more about having those decorative pieces, the accent pieces. That's your corsage. But to make sure that you're filling in with plenty of greens between, because again, the whole wreath is not made up of all the accent parts, though they are very exciting. But if they become the whole thing, then it's not an accent anymore. So as you can see, these had lots of other color than green, and now she's adding solid green layers. And these, she's not making as much a corsage as she's placing the greens around what she already has, but lower on the ring, and then tying those bits on. And as you work with the material, you might find a method that works better for you too. So
A veces,
she has many years of experience, so this is where she's landed for now. But her strategy changes over the
a
years too.
veces si quieren lo pueden amarrar en el back, ¿sí? Es más fácil porque no hay hojas, ¿sí?
So she wants to make it clear that it sometimes is easier to tie in the back because then the leaves aren't in your way as you're trying to make your tight knot. We wanted to talk about how when you have a larger piece, how you might want to cut it down.
Para cortar los pedacitos cortitos, se usa la tijera que quede en este sentido y ya te queda a la medida que lo vas a necesitar.
Okay.
Y ya este te queda para decorarlo y poner esto en la punta.
Okay, so if you have a larger piece, you'll want to cut it at an angle. So she's snipped it at an angle. And as you can see, this piece is probably, she's pretty precise. I would say it's about 4 to 5 inches long. And then she also mentioned that a nice tip like this could be used as accent for sticky outie bits. Very technical term,
Okay.
which I like to call the sticky outie bits.
Okay.
But this would be like a foundation for a bouquet.
Ok, ya se empezó con un corsage. Ahora para rellenarla toda, se agarran pedacitos y pedacitos y se va llenando para que se va haciendo la forma de la corona. Bueno, no vamos a enseñar a hacer toda la corona. Solo
No,
es el
pero
empiezo.
¿vas a enseñar la media para esto? Para que...
Oh, una
sepan.
media. Ok.
So I just sprang an idea on her, which was to make it a half wreath. And she just clearly had a vision because she said, oh, but now she's going to make it happen. So you can adjust as you go.
Ir siempre poniendo las hojitas. Por ejemplo, voy a poner hoja hasta aquí.
Fuerza un poco más. Okay, so we're talking about making a half wreath, and she's going to continue making corsages and bunches until about, ¿dónde?
Hasta aquí,
Until about here,
para la mitad.
to make it a half wreath.
Luego
Ah.
después que ha
Look
terminado.
Hi.
Ay, Daddy.
And
Daddy's
mommy.
here.
Is mommy here? Microphone, say hi.
Say hello.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello, on. No, hello. That's
You guys
fine.
having fun?
We're having fun. We're making
Great.
a half wreath now.
Oh, cool.
Me
Yeah.
quedé bien
Oh, I've
bonito.
seen her do that. Awesome. She knows her stuff.
Qué bueno, voy a terminar la media. Va a ser para ti, Daddy.
Gracias.
You see
Oh,
that Toya?
my mom is saying that I get to have this wreath.
Yeah. You want mommy?
Mami.
Too bad.
Ok.
Okay, so she's continuing with the corsages.
Hello.
Now she's
Hello.
ready.
Hello. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Say goodbye. Wait.
Bye-bye.
Oh, bye. 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 There we go.
So she's continuing with the corsages and the greens.
Añadiendo pedazos hasta seguir la media.
So she's adding pieces until she gets to the halfway point that she has in mind. Okay, Okay, so we talked about the half wreath, and now we're going to talk about placing the last corsage, which she just made the corsage, and she has it facing the other direction. Up, up, up.
No es elástico.
So you just have to turn it so that your dangly bits are facing in the other direction.
Es el final.
So that's the last corsage.
Y luego la persona escoge si quiere un bow, un moño o un pino y lo pone aquí para tapar la diferencia.
So she also suggests that once you place it and have it tied on, you might want to add a bow or a pine cone or some sort of accent at the place where you made the switch in direction. Okay, ¿lo vas a amarrar?
Sí, pero voy a buscar, les voy a mostrar con el... Sí, ahorita lo voy a amarrar.
So she's tying it on.
Me trae ese listón para enseñarles. Está allá.
Okay, so she tied on the last piece, or the last bouquet, and so you can see it'll be a beautiful half wreath, and we're going to show you how she adds a bow. Okay, so right now Hilda just made her bow that she's going to place on the wreath, and she just said that usually you do this with wire, but she's making do with string because she can do that. She's that master level kind of person. And maybe some
¿Cómo
of you
te
are as
gusta,
well.
así o así?
Al
Así.
lado.
¿Así?
No.
Así.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So we were talking placement. And now she places it on. So she had enough tail to be able to tie it on with the string that she had. And it's just like placing any other part of the wreath on there. You get it where you want it positioned and then tie it on. Now I will show you, she does a lot of fluffing and arranging once things are secured. So I think you might want to see that. For example, with the bow, making it nice and symmetrical.
Okay.
So there, she placed the bow right at the turn point. And quieres arreglar cualquier otra cosa con tus dedos solo para enseñar que se puede mover o...
Oh, bueno, está bien organizada.
Okay.
No necesita.
So she's happy with how it's looking, trimming a little bit of the string.
Si no le gusta porque es muy lleno, lo pueden cortar y dejarla bien cortita.
If for some reason you want your wreath to look different, you could always cut bits off that aren't working for you. Trying to add them back in, you can do as well. It's a little trickier. It's certainly better if you have the bouquets arranged how you would like them from the start.
Okay, ya está.
All right, so that's it for the half wreath.
Thank you.
To do a whole wreath, you just keep going with the corsages all the way around.
Just así.
So just like you see on our example wreath, the bunches just keep going in the same
Siempre
direction.
Siempre se agarra así.
Oh, and she's showing me where the top is. So you can see in the back, the direction of all of her greens are in the same direction. And so that's
Lo de atrás.
precisely what we're doing when you make a whole wreath. And then you do pick a top and kind of place a loop or something so that you can have a place to hang this on a wall or on your door. we're going to go over putting on the loop. So the part where you will hang your wreath.
¿Ya?
Mhm.
Okay.
So she got a piece of string. Quiero que ven that she made, she looped it and then about in half. And she's tying that with a regular knot. So all the bits together, tied in a knot. Double knotted.
Uy, quedó muy grande.
And there's her loop. She's not satisfied with how long it is, but you can adjust. You get the idea. And she also switched colors on the string so that it blends with the wood of her wreath ring.
Si no es contenta, si larga, esto es lo mejor. ¿Sí?
And if you aren't happy with the length, she just tied another knot to shorten it
El mismo hilo.
with the same string. Another small detail that you might want to attend to is that there's these beautiful curly bits on the natural grape leaf or grapevine ring that you can pull out and have them be a part of your wreath as well.
Es parte.
And so now we just want to say thank you so much for joining us for this wreath workshop. Thank you for being a part of us making today's wreath. And thank you to Hilda, who is our talented wreath meister. And I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And when you're at home making these, please make sure you take pictures and post them to our social media on Facebook and on Instagram. And we'd love to see what you come up with. And if you do anything different, we would love to see that too. And we are wishing you a Merry Christmas.
So from our family to yours, the Evans family and the Cressy family here, in 2020 with travel restrictions in place, I think the 1943 song, which was applicable to World War II, will touch our hearts. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. Bobby, what do you think?
I think so.
Agreed.
Es verdad.
Merry Christmas.